A warning was issued, not behind closed doors, but in public. A demand was made, not politely, but forcefully. And within hours, Nigeria's political balance shifted in a way many people didn't immediately notice. One voice said, "Stay away from this state." Another replied, "If you want to control it, then resign first." This is not ordinary political banter. This is not about pride or personality. This is a struggle for control, over a strategic state, over party structures, and over who truly holds authority inside the ruling party. Behind the noise, a former ally is being quietly isolated. A sitting governor is being repositioned, and a long game is unfolding, one that could reshape political loyalty far beyond Rivers State. While attention is fixed on speeches and counter-speeches, insecurity is deepening, institutions are being recalibrated, and decisions are being taken that will matter long after today's headlines disappear. This story is not just about Rivers State. It is about how power is enforced, how loyalty is tested, and how politics in Nigeria really works. The spark that ignited this confrontation was deceptively simple. A senior figure within the ruling party restated a long-standing principle that sitting governors remain the political leaders of their parties in their respective states and must be accorded the respect that position commands. In party politics, this is not controversial. Governors control structures, mobilize supporters, influence delegates, and serve as the backbone of party strength at the state level. But in Rivers State, that statement landed differently. It was interpreted not as routine party doctrine, but as a challenge, a signal that lines were being drawn and authority clarified. The response was immediate and sharp. A powerful federal minister reacted publicly, declaring that Rivers State was off-limits for political interference. The language was not conciliatory, it was territorial. It suggested ownership, dominance, and warning. Accusations followed, claims of meddling, allegations of hidden interests, references to financial motivations whispered rather than proven. And then came the statement that changed the tone entirely, a reminder that the minister issuing the warning was not even a member of the ruling party whose internal affairs he was attempting to influence. In politics, few things cut deeper than a legitimacy challenge. Because once membership is questioned, authority weakens. And once authority weakens, power begins to slip. What we are seeing is not a personal feud. It is a contest over political space. Who controls it, who protects it, and who is excluded from it. It is about who speaks for the party and whose voice carries weight when decisions are made. That is why the call for resignation matters. On the surface, asking a federal appointee to resign may sound extreme, but within party politics, it is one of the clearest statements you can make. It draws a boundary between national duty and local ambition. It says you cannot occupy a federal office and simultaneously run state-level political battles. You cannot supervise governance from Abuja while attempting to dominate structures on the ground. Resignation in this context is not just procedural. It is symbolic. It is a demand for clarity. Are you a federal official serving national interests or a local political actor fighting for territorial control? You cannot be both. This is how party discipline is enforced, not always through expulsion or suspension, but through public boundaries that remind everyone where authority truly lies. Rivers State makes this conflict combustible because of what it represents. Economically, it is one of Nigeria's most strategic states. Politically, it commands federal attention. Internally, it is a goldmine of delegates and influence. And with party conventions approaching, the timing could not be more critical. Control of party structures today determines who controls delegates tomorrow. And delegates decide conventions, primaries, and political futures. Every faction understands this. That is why the struggle is so intense. That is why compromise feels impossible. Rivers State is not the problem. Rivers State is the prize. While public attention is drawn to speeches and warnings, something quieter has been happening in the background. Earlier interventions from the highest level prevented the crisis from exploding too soon. Instead of forcing a premature resolution, space was created. Space for realignment, recalibration, and silent consolidation. Within that space, power began to move without announcing itself. A sitting governor strengthened his grip. Party leadership at the national level started to speak with one voice. Statements became firmer, recognition became clearer, and gradually, the balance began to tilt. This is how seasoned power operates. It does not rush, it does not shout, it waits until the moment is right, and then it acts. That is why some actors now sound defensive, while others sound assured. That is why some warnings feel louder than the authority behind them. And that is why this conflict should not be underestimated. Because River State is not alone. Across the country, the ruling party has absorbed powerful figures from opposition camps. On paper, this looks like strength. Numbers increase, territory expands, but internally, something else happens: resentment. What becomes of those who built the party when newcomers arrive and inherit leadership? What happens to loyalists who invested years, only to be told that power has been transferred, not earned? This question is quietly tearing through party structures nationwide. In several states, old guard members feel sidelined. In others, newcomers preside over structures they did not build. The reward system that once sustained loyalty now appears inconsistent. Is power earned through service or acquired through negotiation? There is no official answer, but the consequences are visible. Frustration is rising, unity is thinning, and internal conflict is becoming normalized. As this political drama unfolds, another reality continues largely in the background: insecurity. Violent attacks, communities disrupted, families shattered, children traumatized by repeated abductions, lives lost in circumstances that rarely hold sustained attention. This is not a footnote, this is the lived reality for many Nigerians. And yet, insecurity struggles to compete with political spectacle. Press statements dominate airtime while grief unfolds quietly. Strategy meetings continue while communities mourn. The disconnect is stark. When politics overshadows human suffering, trust erodes. Citizens begin to wonder whether power is being exercised for protection or preservation. Governance, however, is more than politics and security. It is also about institutions. Systems designed to function beyond individuals. Regulators meant to safeguard public interest regardless of who holds office. Recent moves to constitute regulatory boards point in the right direction. Oversight is necessary. Transparency is essential. Accountability cannot be optional. But institutions only matter if they work, if they have capacity, if they resist political capture. In critical sectors like oil and gas, regulatory weakness costs the nation dearly. When oversight lacks independence or resources, credibility collapses. And when institutions serve political loyalty instead of public good, trust disappears. This brings us back to the bigger picture. What we are seeing in River State is a microcosm of Nigeria's politics. Power struggles inside parties, strategy replacing ideology, short-term gains prioritized over long-term stability. When politics becomes only calculation, governance becomes collateral damage. This conflict is far from over. Party conventions will raise the stakes further. Internal battles will intensify, more alliances will shift, more grievances will surface, and Nigerians, not just politicians, will live with the consequences. Because the real question is no longer who is in charge today. The real question is what this kind of politics leaves behind tomorrow.